Hi, I'm Jenny Wilkinson, and I'm the director of Rule28, which is a business continuity and operational resilience services company with the aim of helping organisations to meet their strategic objectives through continuity and resilience. So we help organisations to implement business continuity and resilience programs, so things including business impact analysis, business continuity strategies and plans, as well as governance. Then we also help organisations who already have capabilities in place to develop and mature those. We also provide training and exercising, developing incident management capabilities, and internal and supplier audits, with all of this aligned to ISO 22301 and best practice. So ultimately, business continuity and operational resilience is aiming to help organizations to continue their critical functions during a disruption and then recover effectively afterwards. So how that supports sort of employees and customers, first and foremost, it's safety. So ensuring that, nobody dies, ideally, during an incident, and that customers and, well, mainly employees really understand that there's processes in place to help and support them reduce levels of stress, etc., during an incident so that they've got that safety net, so they know what to do when disruption occurs. It also helps with ensuring service stability, so maintaining sort of those critical functions that you have to keep the organisation going during a disruption. It also helps building trust and confidence, so demonstrating that you can sort of keep your services to your customers, your stakeholders, etc., regardless of whatever it is that might happen in the current climate. And then really helps you to understand and protect what is most important to you as a business. So where you get into your risk assessments and your dependency mappings, it really helps you drill down what do we need to keep going to ensure that as an organisation, post disruption, we're still viable.
Yeah. And it's interesting because there's a huge amount of it that kind of is about preparedness. And it's the kind of key part of that sort of crisis response, awareness, resilience, and preparedness. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. And there's I would say there's three main parts. You've got that preparedness, embedding resilience into what you do as an organization. So as things change, you're still starting from a good place of resilience. Then you have your incident response. So when disruption does happen, you are able to deal with that effectively. And then you have your recovery phase as well. So you're able to sort of manage that and ensure that you're communicating effectively through that recovery and bringing sort of your employees and your customers and stakeholders along with you. Absolutely. So when we're sort of planning for incidents and preparing for that disruption, really identifying those critical processes, what's essential for you to keep going, what do you need to invest in or bring more resource to make sure you can keep that critical stuff going. That through those processes, you've got sort of your risk analysis, what are the key risks to you as an organization, and then also really delving into how do those operations or products or services, how do they operate, where are their key dependencies, how do you build in resilience to those operations to ensure that even if disruption happens, you're really mitigating and planning for that so that you're able to respond effectively. Also, when planning, for instance, communication is key. So having your communication plans, making sure you really understand who you need to communicate with, how best is it to communicate with those people, whether it's your supply chain, other key stakeholders, your customers, your employees, etc. So making sure that you've got that prepared and ready to go. Testing and training, really important in how you prepare. So making sure that the capabilities that you have in place, so whether that's your disaster recovery processes, your work area recovery processes, whatever those capabilities might be, they will actually work at the point of need, and you've got evidence to prove that you validated that. As well as that testing and training, making sure that your employees are actually know what to do, because it's great to have a plan, but if nobody's looked at it and then it comes to the point of panic, they're probably still not going to look at it unless they know how to use it and how it works and how they work together during an incident as well. So that's really important to make sure people are ready and understand what they need to do and when they need to do it and how they need to do it. And then also being aware that you need to continuously improve. Things in organizations in life constantly change, and you need to be reviewing and updating those plans to reflect what the situation is at any one time. So by bringing all of that together, you're really able to minimize downtime when disruption hits. You're able to make sure that you're going to meet your regulatory or your contractual or your insurance compliance requirements as well. And you're increasing your team's confidence in what will happen when a disruption hits as well.
Yeah, and a lot's changed really since COVID, isn't it? You know, when the pandemic hit, I think some business continuity plans were found to be wanting a little bit. And then now obviously the way we work's changed quite dramatically. So um really if you're an organization and you've got plans that go back 5 years or more, I mean, I suppose how frequently should they be updated, you know?
Well, I would say sort of best practice is at least annually. But if it's a process that is really critical to your organization, I would say 6 monthly reviews and testing would be more appropriate. Obviously, depending on the size and the resource that you have as an organization, and you depending on how you want to do it, you can bring different elements together, so you don't have to do everything all individually. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's ways and means to make it effective as a regular management system within the organization as well. And I think it is
Brilliant.
interesting, sort of the way that we work now during incidents with technology as well,
Mm.
because everybody's sort of on Teams or on Zooms. Um, Actually planning for if that technology doesn't work during an incident, what is the backup for your communication as well, and how will you get people together to respond effectively is a key part of your planning too.
Yeah, it's a massive risk area now that we become so reliant on systems over the last 5 years that perhaps we didn't used to use and wouldn't have been so dependent upon.
Absolutely. So one of the top tips, first one I was going to say, and we've covered it slightly already, was regularly review and update your plans. So ensuring that your strategies are relevant, people maintain their knowledge and understanding of what's in the plans, and your plans are updated as risks and the environment changes as well. Another key point around that sort of update is involving key stakeholders and also aligning your program to corporate strategy. So you're going to get a lot more buy-in if what you're doing can be seen as added value to what the whole organization is trying to achieve. So really linking into those corporate objectives with what you're trying to support through your program for business continuity. And you can't do any of this effectively in a silo. If you're a business continuity professional, you can't do it on your own. You need to be engaging with the IT teams, the operational teams, the communications teams, legal, insurance.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to be aware of what's in there and what the right actions are to take and who you need when an incident actually occurs to support you. Another top tip is investing in the training. As I say, it's great to have a plan, but if nobody knows where it is or how to use it, or aren't confident in activating that plan, then it's not going to work in practice. And so, really helping build confidence through training is really important. I also think leveraging technology. So as I say, there's so much technology that can help. Whether it's you've got a business continuity management system with an app that means that it's your plans are outside of your organization's network. So even if you're having technical trouble internally, you can still access those plans. You can still communicate effectively with your team and hopefully respond rapidly as well. The testing, I think I've covered it a little bit already as
Yeah.
well, but making sure that your plans are frequently tested, and looking at different scenarios as well. You can't cover all scenarios all the time, but you can make sure that those key risks that you've identified earlier in your program, you can really test those, and make sure that your capabilities will work at the point of need. And then finally, really trying to embed a culture of resilience throughout all of the processes in an organization. So, especially when you're thinking about change or your supply chain, how do you build in resilience and continuity considerations and capabilities at the start of things changing, rather than waiting until you've made that change and trying to bolt on that resilience at the end? And then hopefully with all of those top tips, organisations will be able to effectively prevent, adapt and respond to, as well as recover and learn from operational disruption.
Jenny, can you explain why the business is called Rule28?
Yes, so it's nothing to do with business continuity and resilience. When I was searching for a company name, all of the good names were either taken or weren't very inspiring. And at the time, my husband and I were binge watching NCIS. So I don't know whether everybody is familiar with NCIS, but it's it's sort of Naval Intelligence and Intelligent Criminal Service. And there's a lead character called Gibbs, and he lives and works by a set of rules. And Rule 28 is if you need help, ask. And that just sort of really resonated with me, and I thought, that's the name.